The Wakandan family tree is all about legacy, power, and tradition. At its heart lies a bloodline that is drenched in honor. It's about a lineage where the future rests on the shoulders of its descendants. It all begins with a Wakandan chieftain who assumes the mantle of the Black Panther. He was the guardian of the sacred, vibranium-rich land of Wakanda. His legacy is marked by courage and an oath that was passed down for generations to come. This is a family of heroes and leaders whose traditions meet innovation. The Black Panther family, with its strong roots, plays a vital role in shaping Wakanda's and the world's future. In this episode, we're going to look at every member of the Wakandan royal family that graced the Marvel Universe. Are you ready? Ye Bombay! Before we go into our explanation, we have a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Mosi, first Black Panther. Mosi, the lesser-known chief of the Panther tribe, was the very first Black Panther ever. He was known for his extraordinary leadership, not just by his tribesmen, but by the gods too. Odin, the god of war and death, regarded Mosi's high intelligence as way above that of any mortal. It all started 1 million BC ago when Mosi decided to do the unthinkable. He was the first ever mortal to overcome the Panther spirit with the help of his animal avatars and donned the mantle of the Black Panther. Mosi defended the Wakandan people from every cosmic energy that threatened the Earth. However, it wasn't long before he was killed in battle with King Laufey, who led the fearsome giants of Jotunheim. In case you don't remember, Laufey was the father of Loki, the god of mischief. Mosi's death not only left an impact on his fellow Wakandans, but also led to some difficult decisions. The Wakandans chose a future of isolation. They retreated from all over the world back to Wakanda. However, this unified nation was divided into separate tribes that went their own separate way. It would take an event of divine proportion to bring these broken tribes back together. Decades later, the moment arrived with the advent of the second Black Panther, Olumo Bashenga. Bashenga. It all began in the Bronze Age. Olumo Bashenga was a Wakandan warrior and a spiritual healer. This member of the Wakandan tribe was no ordinary one. He had a mystical foresight that helped him predict a cosmic destruction approaching Earth. This mystic warrior summoned all his skills and harnessed the power of vibranium. He forged two remarkable weapons, the Skybreaker and the Spear of Bashenga. These weapons were crucial in protecting Wakanda's spirit for ages to come. Bashenga climbed a high mound and confronted the approaching cosmic storm directly. He absorbed the cosmic energy surge using his vibranium weapons. Bashenga then tossed both enchanted weapons into the western part of Wakanda. The region where these artifacts were fixed into the earth was soon turned into a city, Burnin Bashenga. It was a tribute to this warrior's bravery. Under Bashenga's leadership, the tribes of Wakanda were reunited. He was crowned the first king of the Wakandan Empire and the second Black Panther. The Spear of Bashenga became a symbol of Wakandan royalty and the unbreakable spirit of the nation. Bashenga is now regarded as the father of Wakanda. After his demise, Bashenga's spirit lives in the plane of Wakandan's memory known as Djalia. T'Chanda, also known as Azuri, T'Challa's grandfather. King T'Chanda took charge as the Black Panther during the World War II crisis. It is rightly said that desperate times call for desperate measures. World War II was the time when every nation needed a leader who could practically do anything to safeguard its sovereignty. That is precisely what destiny had in store for Wakanda. Although Azuri was fiercely protective of Wakanda and its people, he was way more brutal than his future grandson, T'Challa. On the other side, Colonel Fritz Claw of Nazi Germany left on a life-changing mission. He wanted the Wakandans to side with Adolf Hitler in this unholy war on humanity. But Claw's aircraft crashed in the lush jungles of Wakanda, leaving him injured and the sole survivor. To his surprise, Azuri not only saved his life, but treated his wounds too. Fritz and T'Chanda's bond grew grew stronger, and they became allies. Soon, Fritz discovered Wakanda's secret vibranium reserves and their capabilities. You guessed it right, Fritz called off the friendship and engaged in a battle with Tachaka. Fritz did something that became the last nail in his coffin. He killed Tachaka's wife, Queen Naomi. In a fierce move, Tachaka ripped off his steel hand and calmly watched Fritz flee back to Germany. Later, both the Germans and the Americans wanted a piece of the vibranium pie, obviously for military use. And King Tachaka finally picked one side, his own. Naomi, Azuri's wife. The brave Queen Naomi held the Wakandan throne during the chaotic time of World War II. Naomi's leadership proved to be one of the most prosperous, as it shaped the country's future into a strong one. Colonel Fritz Claw, I'm sure we know this madman by now, he was one of the pawns of Adolf Hitler's evil empire. Fritz made his way into the heart of Wakanda to gain support for Nazi Germany. Fast forward a bit. Fritz went from being in the clutches of death to becoming an ally of Wakanda. His desires took a dark turn. He wanted the Wakandans to create the Panther idol, intended for worship instead of a brotherly spirit. But when the noble Panther spirit declined, Claw's desires turned even more evil and greedy. Fritz did something unthinkable. He launched an attack on Black Panther, which resulted in Queen Naomi being killed. And in retaliation, King Tachaka did something everyone could see coming. He showed Fritz his rightful place in the battle, and the rest is history. Suan, Azuri and Naomi's son. Suan was the son of the brave King Azuri and the brother of Tachaka. He was an exceptional Wakandan in his own right. Suan was a great thinker as well as a warrior. He resembled the true meaning of brain with brawn. Suan's strength and agility were no less than Tachaka's. At a young age, Suan rightfully defended both his father's and brother's decisions on all matters, and even stood up against all critics. This obedient son and loyal brother had no clue what was about to come. Unfortunately, Tachaka, who was the then ruler and Black Panther, was assassinated by Ulysses Claw. This event had not only taken away Suan's brother, but had also driven him on a path he never desired. With no choice left, the vacant crown of Wakanda and the mantle of Black Panther fell into Suan's court. Nevertheless, he took up all his responsibilities and didn't shy away from his duty as the guardian of Wakanda. He appointed his nephew, Hunter, as the commander-in-chief of the elite Hatu-Surise Special Forces. His time as king was soon challenged by the age-old Wakandan tradition. T'Challa, his nephew, stepped into the ring to face his uncle. In a moment of selflessness, Suan stepped down, making way for the young T'Challa to be the new king of Wakanda. Suan continued to serve as the new Panther's trusted advisor. During the Doom War, tragedy struck. Dr. Doom ordered his soldiers to shoot Queen Ramonda, and Suan bravely stepped in to shield her, sacrificing his life. Tachaka, Azuri and Naomi's son. Tachaka was the adamant chief of Wakanda, who also bore the sacred duty of protecting Wakanda's vibranium reserves. It's an oath passed down through generations of leaders. He was the firstborn son of King Azuri, and from a young age, he was following his father's footsteps. Tachaka showed extraordinary skills as a warrior and an unbreakable will to protect Wakanda's ancient heritage. He had a knack for doing things traditionally. Even when his great nation was technologically improving by leaps and bounds, Tachaka remained true to his roots. After the birth of his younger brother, Suan, he was even more committed to protecting his people. Even though he remained old school in his ways, his vision of enhancing Wakanda's technology always kept growing. Tachaka adopted a white boy who was the lone survivor of a plane crash. By doing so, he ensured that the child was safe at all times from the occasional xenophobia. This child was named Hunter. Tachaka's desire for technological advancement partly came from his wife, Naomi. However, things didn't always stay all unicorns and rainbows. Ulysses Claw, a Dutch scientist and a descendant of the Nazi Colonel Fritz Claw, made his way way into Wakanda. Claw was all about vibranium and its mining. This led him into a battle with King Tachaka. During the fight, Tachaka gave his life to shield his son, T'Challa, from Claw's attack. Tashan, Suyan's son. Tashan was the son of Suan, who stepped into the position of power after his brother was killed. With a heart full of ambitions, he desired to someday take over the Wakandan throne for himself and serve as the Black Panther. However, fate had other plans for Tashan. His cousin, T'Challa, returned to Wakanda after he completed his studies abroad. He wasted absolutely no time participating in the sacred combat ritual to rise as the new ruler and protector of Wakanda. Tashan couldn't be happy for his cousin because all he could hear was the shattering of his dream of ruling Wakanda. In spite of his envious attitude, T'Challa, the ruler with a golden heart, saw immense potential in him. Soon, Tashan was appointed as the UN ambassador to Wakanda. Tashan was off to the Big Apple to fulfill his diplomatic duties. Back in New York, Claw had sent Cannibal, someone who could transfer his consciousness into a different body, to disrupt the Wakandan diplomatic ties with the world. Cannibal presented himself as Igor Stanchek. She met Tashan as a Chernobyl victim's wife and begged for him to cure her husband. While on their way back home, Claw launched an attack on their plane. Cannibal panicked and transferred his consciousness into Tashan's body by kissing him. Later, during the distress between Wakanda and Atlantis, it was reported that the Wakandan ambassador to the UN was killed. However, the identity of this diplomat was never revealed. Naomi, Tachaka's wife. Wakanda was once engulfed in a civil war between the many divided tribes. It was during these chaotic times that Naomi lost every member of her family. After these tragic events, Naomi simply couldn't carry on with her life there. She decided to move abroad and finish her studies, but she couldn't stay away for long. Wakanda called, and Naomi answered. Upon returning, the powerful element, vibranium, caught her attention, and she dedicated herself to improving its use in all walks of life. She collected scraps of vibranium ore and learned to mold it. Naomi introduced the medical application of vibranium rings and bracelets. This is when she caught King T'Chaka's attention. Love blossomed between the two, blurring the lines between a noble and a commoner. However, Naomi had doubts about the future of their children. She wasn't too thrilled about the political instability that comes with the shift in power. In the end, Naomi agreed and moved to the royal palace of Wakanda. She worked tirelessly, day and night, to advance the nation's technology. However, their happiness was short-lived. Naomi was ill with a rare disease with no cure. Desperate King Tachaka sought the assistance of American inventor Howard Stark. Tachaka made a move that no Wakandan ruler would ever think of. He offered Howard Stark a pound of vibranium in exchange for his bio-nanite infusion. However, Naomi's destiny to serve as the queen was short-lived because the transport carrying Stark's technology was attacked by Wakandan insurgents, which means it never made it to its destination. Despite facing adversity, Naomi gave birth to her son, T'Challa. Just a week after the birth, she succumbed to her illness. White Wolf, also known as Hunter, T'Chaka's adoptive son. Hunter was the adopted brother of T'Challa. He was a patriot of the highest order. Sometimes he found himself between his unshakable nationalism and the king's decision. Hunter's story begins in the African nation of Mohanda, his birthplace. He could never know his real parents, as they were killed in a plane crash over the Wakandan border, leaving Hunter as the sole survivor. Hunter's destiny was bound to the royal palace, as he was adopted by the king himself. Although Hunter grew up as a proud Wakandan, he couldn't ignore the outsider vibe throughout his life. Hunter got solace from his father's second wife, Ramonda, who was also a foreigner. Even though these two didn't have a blood bond, their relationship grew as solid as any mother and son. During their youth, T'Chanda and Hunter shared a close bond as they would engage in competitive games and yet support each other. Hunter's grasp of existence did a complete 360 when they visited South Africa and witnessed the harsh reality of apartheid. However, Hunter's fair skin proved to be an advantage for Wakanda. Tachaka soon recognized the value of Hunter's appearance and sent him on missions to places that were only accessible to fair-skinned Europeans.
Build barriers.
Who are you?
We must find
T'Challa, Tachaka and Naomi's son. T'Challa was known far and wide as the Black Panther. He held multiple positions as the ruler of Wakanda. He took on the roles of king, chieftain, religious leader, and commander-in-chief, all melded into one figure. He was recognized as one of the world's top intellects and played a key role in Wakanda's technological advancements. T'Challa had immense vibranium and Wakandan technology at his whim. Along with his own abilities, T'Challa pledged to protect and fight for not only Wakandans, but for all of humanity. His commitment to such a noble cause simply showcases T'Challa's greatness. T'Challa's life had a humble start. He was King T'Chaka's first biological son, and his mother passed away a week after giving birth due to a rare disease contracted during pregnancy. From a tender age, T'Challa was involved in learning the way vibranium works. It was surely a legacy handed down through generations. His learning of the royal duties began as early as 5 years old. After all, he needs to be prepared for the responsibilities he will inherit one day. It was an important event during his first border inspection with his father. T'Challa wandered and was lost. It was during these dire circumstances that he met with an outsider explorer named Ramonda. Little did he know that this meeting would alter the course of his life. Ramonda's arrival in Wakanda was the result of fate. She took on the role of a mother to T'Challa. Her bond with the young prince ran deep, eventually leading to her marriage to King Tachaka. Finally, it was time for T'Challa to be crowned as the ruler and the protector of Wakanda and humankind. And the rest is history. Matina, T'Chaka's lover. Matina was a dedicated and skilled operative in the Incharo Salima. They operated on a global scale to safeguard and secure Wakanda. Not much is known about Matina, as her records have been categorized as classified. However, we are surely aware that her paths crossed with King Tachaka. It was more than just a one-time meeting, as they fell in love. Out of their passionate romance, a son was born. Matina named him Jakara. However, the ever-increasing demands of her service took a severe toll. Eventually, Matina paid the ultimate price. She gave her life in service to Wakanda. In her death, she left a legacy and a son who would keep her memory in his heart. Jakara, Tachaka and Matina's son. Jakara was the son of the Wakandan king, Tachaka, and a Wakandan spy named Matina. He was raised far from his homeland and its influence. However, as fate would have it, he came to Wakanda after the death of Tachaka. Jakara soon revealed his dark intentions, his sole purpose for coming to Wakanda. Jakara believes it to be his birthright to inherit the Wakandan fortune and take over the throne. His demands were met with heavy skepticism by his uncle, Suan. However, the inheritance was granted, but on one condition: Jakara shouldn't get involved in national affairs. Jakara was a man of his own intentions. He broke the promise and joined the outcasts of the Hyena clan. Soon, T'Challa took the throne, and Wakanda was revealed to the world. The Hyena clan made contact with a Latverian agent. Jakara was made in charge of the operation, as he used a Doombot to appear in Black Panther's throne room by entering Wakanda's coordinates. T'Challa discovered his half-brother and set out on a journey to confront Jakara. T'Challa had Aurora Monroe, also known as Storm, on his side as he ventured into the unknown. Soon Jakara harnessed the power of vibranium and transformed into a complete nightmare. It looks like there's a vibranium expert in the house. T'Challa used a vibranium dagger that was programmed to disrupt Jakara's energy absorption, which also left him paralyzed. The battle reached its peak as Storm used her weather manipulative powers to seal Jakara in the volcano.
Of our king. But do not think for a second that Wakanda has lost
Ramonda, Tachaka's second wife. Ramonda was a South African lady. She left her homeland in search of help against apartheid in South Africa. Her quest led her to the Wakandan border, where she encountered someone who changed her life. During her adventure, she stumbled upon the young Wakandan prince, Tachala, who seemed to be lost. Tachala was accompanying his father on a border patrol. Ramonda kept Tachala with her until his father arrived. As a token of appreciation, King Tachaka offered refuge to Ramonda. Knowing too well that she was needed back in South Africa, she stayed back selflessly. She stayed in Wakanda out of sheer love and care for Tachala. The young boy was too attached to Ramonda, as he had lost his mother at a tender age. Over time, romance brewed between Ramonda and Tachaka, and their bond grew stronger. They finally decided to tie the sacred knot, and Ramonda became a permanent pillar of Wakanda's royal family.
Like me.
Shuri, Tachaka and Ramonda's daughter. Shuri was an exceptionally brave princess of Wakanda and the half-sister of King T'Challa. She was also the heir to the Wakandan throne. She was the youngest child of Tachaka, and biologically, she belonged to Queen Ramonda, T'Chaka's third wife. Right from a young age, Shuri wanted to break the gender barriers and become the first woman to be Black Panther. Her mother didn't nod to Shuri's ambitions, but this could barely shake her off track. Not caring about social validation and norms, Shuri jumped into the sacred combat arena. She daringly challenged her uncle, Suan, for the title of Black Panther. However, Shuri would need to wait, as her plans were about to be delayed. An unknown contender defeated Suan in the blink of an eye and snatched the Black Panther title. The winning challenger turned out to be Shuri's brother, T'Challa. She is anything but envious of T'Challa. Shuri even served as the tech guru to King T'Challa from time to time. Shuri's extraordinary talents go way beyond her royal lineage. Her physical prowess skyrocketed due to the mystical heart-shaped herb, granting her the abilities of a super soldier. Her senses surpassed those of ordinary humans, and even those of the most accomplished athletes. Her vision was truly something of a gift. It extended across the electromagnetic spectrum, even in the infrared and UV areas. This exceptional vision allowed her to traverse in near-total darkness with unhinged accuracy. Further, Shuri's reflexes can easily beat those of the top Olympic athletes. This makes her capable of evading heavy firepower with ease. Aurora Monroe, also known as Storm, T'Challa's wife. Aurora Monroe was a renowned mutant with weather manipulative abilities. In the mutant world, she was another name, Storm. Her childhood was full of grief and loneliness. A plane crashed over her ancestral home and killed her entire family. Young Aurora found herself on the streets of Cairo, Egypt. She learned new skills from being a sneak thief and put them to use. That is how Aurora made a living on the harsh streets of Cairo. In her teens, she traveled to the plains of Serengeti and discovered her weather-controlling powers. She became the only hope for the locals. Aurora used her powers to aid the drought-hit desert areas, and soon she gained the popularity of the locals, who considered Storm a goddess. Storm championed her powers and joined the X-Men, marking the beginning of her superhero career. Life took a turn when she met King T'Challa, and the duo fell in love. The connection became stronger with time, and their bond was made official. King T'Challa and Queen Aurora later worked tirelessly to strike down the discriminatory Superhero Registration Act of the American government. Their union reflected power, justice, and equality in every sense. Marvelous verdict. The Black Panther family has been a symbol of strength and honor throughout Wakandan history. As we finish this episode navigating through the royal legacy, we find that this is more than just bloodline and succession. It is a reflection of the undying spirit of Wakanda. The Black Panther family tree has leaders who have shared the sacred responsibility. They guarded the nation's most important secrets and resources. Their unbreakable pledge to justice has left a deep mark on Wakanda Ramonda, and the world. But the story does not end with T'Challa. It extends to the young Shuri, who carries the duty of innovation and intellectual skills. As the Black Panther family tree continues to evolve, it reminds us that the past, present, and future are all connected. The Black Panther family tree is more than simply a story of the royal kingdom. It is a legacy. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.